You ever have one of those moments that's so completely random, it feels like a glitch in the simulation? Well, let me tell you about mine. It all started with a taco delivery during the peak of the pandemic, a delivery that literally brought my entire past right to my front door.
Okay, so let me set the scene. It's Austin, Texas, 2020. The whole world is pretty much ground to a halt. We're all wearing masks. Our social lives have moved entirely to Zoom, and there's just this quiet loneliness in the air. That was my world.
And yeah, this pretty much sums up my entire existence back then. I was a coder, stuck working from home, and honestly, my thumb was getting way more of a workout ordering food than even trying to find a date. So, on one very typical Thursday night, I did what I always did. I opened up Uber Eats.
Now, this order started out just like any other. I was craving Torchy's tacos. Simple as that. But as you're about to find out, this was going to be anything but a routine delivery.
So I placed my order, and a minute later the app pings. Miguel is on his way. Okay, cool. I just slumped back onto the couch, totally clueless about the collision course I was on with my own past.
About 20 minutes later, there's a knock. I get up, open the door, and my brain just stops. It completely short-circuited because the person standing there holding my bag of tacos, it was not Miguel.
No, it was Sarah, my ex-girlfriend from college. I mean, the ex, the one who absolutely shattered my heart senior year when she took off for a study abroad fling in Barcelona and just ghosted me. And now, years later, here she was on my doorstep wearing a Torchy's Tacos hat.
Oh man, the next 30 seconds were just a masterclass in awkward. She kind of stumbled through an explanation about losing her marketing job and driving for Uber Eats to make ends meet. My brain was still buffering. And then she goes, "Still in the same complex?" She remembered. I think I just mumbled something, took the tacos, gave her a ridiculously huge tip out of some weird cocktail of shock and guilt, and quickly closed the door. But that wasn't the end of it, not even close. About an hour later, I'm just sitting there trying to process what happened, and my phone buzzes. It's a text from a number I don't recognize. It was her. And just like that, the door to the past didn't just creak open, it blew right off the hinges. And things started moving shockingly fast. I mean, we went from that insane doorstep reunion on Thursday to a text an hour later that said something like, "No pressure, but," to actually sitting across from each other at a coffee shop by Saturday morning. My curiosity it completely took over. I had to know. And as we sat there, with the 6 feet of pandemic-approved space between us, we started talking, and we realized that we were both just surviving. She told me how her big dream in Spain totally fell apart and now she was driving nonstop. I told her how I was basically coding myself into a coma. We were both struggling, just in our own separate ways.
And then, she said something I honestly never ever thought I would hear. She apologized. She told me that Barcelona wasn't really about the other guy. It was about her totally panicking about graduating, about real life, and she just ran. It was a massive moment.
That apology, it changed everything. It felt like hitting a reset button on our entire history. And as our socially distanced coffee date was ending, she invited me over to her place for dinner, that same night. Of course I said yes, and I went over to her little studio apartment, and she cooked. An actual real meal, not something delivered in a paper bag. We just sat there, drank some cheap wine, and talked until like 2 in the morning. And for the first time in a really long time for both of us, there were no masks and absolutely no distance between us.
That's when we got really honest. She told me her dad had a really scary bout with COVID. I told her about my mom being in remission from cancer. We were sharing the heavy stuff, the things you don't just post online. And in all that vulnerability, something just clicked. A few days later, we were watching a rerun of The Office, and we had our first kiss, and it felt like coming home.
So, things were going really, really well. But it was about 3 months later when I found something in her car that it reframed everything for me. She had finally managed to quit her delivery job, and I was helping her clean out her car. The one she'd been delivering tacos in. I flipped down the passenger side visor to wipe it down, and this little photo fluttered out and landed in my lap. I picked it up. It was us, from our senior formal in college.
I was just stunned. I looked at her, holding this picture, and all she said was, "Couldn't let go." And that just hit me like a ton of bricks. To think that for all those years apart, through everything, she had kept this tiny piece of us with her the entire time.
So what's the point of this whole crazy story?
What are you supposed to do when life literally serves you your past along with a side of queso?
Well, I've come to think of it as life's own weird algorithm. It's not code, it's not an app, it's something stranger. The pandemic was an awful, terrible time for so many, but for me, it was a hard reroute, a strange bit of code that delivered someone I was sure I had lost forever right back to me.
And it just makes you think, right? We trust these algorithms on our phones every single day to guide us. But what about the invisible ones? The ones that are playing out in our own lives? So I'll just leave you with this question. What's the most random, unexpected delivery that life has ever sent your way?